This is a 2015 Chevy Traverse, but if you have a Traverse and it looks like this one, this video will apply to you. We're going to replace front and back rotors and brake pads. 7/8 socket, I don't know what that is, metric. This is what we call metal to metal when the brakes are completely worn out and ruin the rotors. Two 13mm bolts. This is one way to compress the caliper, and I'll show you another way. So this is the other way. Take a brake pad, stuff it there. This is the tool. This is what it looks like. They're very cheap. Get them at any auto parts store or use a C-clamp. If the calipers don't go in real smooth and easy, most likely they are seized up and you need a new one. This one, it's hard to tell, but I don't think it's bad. And these are junk pads. I guess this could be dangerous, maybe. Always hang the calipers up, never let them hang from the hoses. 2 caliper bracket bolts. I'm using a 13/16, not sure what that is in metric. A T30 Torx bit. Big hammer. The front bracket, remove these. Sometimes they're froze up. If they're not, I usually just dab a little bit of grease on there. You don't want too much because it won't go back in. If they are froze up, you either got to loosen them up with some heat or something and get them out of there, or buy a new caliper with bracket. New brake pads typically come with new slide things here, so remove them. Slide hardware, I guess. And we'll replace them with the new ones. Before you do that, if there's any rust buildup in here, you need to take a wire brush or whatever it takes to get that rust out of there. Sometimes I scrape them with an old screwdriver or something like that if it's flaky. If you don't, they'll be tight and you will ruin your rotors and brakes again really quick. New caliper slides are simple after you've cleaned them up if you had to. Just slip them in. This car's new enough that it's not that rusty, so easy job here. We'll install the bracket. Torque to spec. Inside pad with a tab going on top goes right here, like so. Pad with no tabs outside, like so. If you'll notice, these are different too. These are just to keep the pads pushed out away from the rotor, and it's okay. They're a little different. They're aftermarket. Now the caliper, just set it down on there. The only thing you need to know about this is make sure you do not twist the hose. Make sure the hose is nice and straight. And the way you took it off, you don't want it twisted up. Sometimes people do that. And again, that'll ruin the brakes prematurely. Torque to spec. Back caliper, this is a 14mm bolt head, and then you might need a 17mm wrench right here to hold it. Like so. Usually don't need the brake caliper tool on back brakes. They're usually pretty easy. We'll see. Hit myself in the face. The 2 caliper bracket bolts, I'm using a 13/16 wrench. careful you don't slip, because it will hurt. Breaker bar is the way to go on these. Makes it much easier, but if all you have is wrenches, that'll work too.
Surely that would.
A T30 BFH. For those of you that don't know, these are the emergency brake pads. They're in good shape. We're not messing with those today. This is the rear caliper bracket, and we will pop these old clips off, pull these slides out, and put just a little bit of grease on them. Very little bit of grease. Otherwise, you'll be fighting to push them in there, as I said earlier on the front ones. Again, if there's any rust buildup here, you have to clean them. These are clean, so I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to show how to do it. You get the picture, scrape them out, clean them with a wire brush, whatever you have to do. New clips will press right in, just like the old ones came out. One thing you might want to do when you put the new clips in, just to make sure, is look right here on the insides, right there, and make sure they're not sticking out past the caliper bracket. Back rotor. This is one of the blue type, and I don't think you have to clean these off with brake clean. I think they're like coated, so you don't have to. Honestly, I'm not positive. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit on there in case there's any grease, but I think they're dry. There is a little rubber plug on the old rotor. You'll need to remove it. It's real easy. You just push it out and it goes right here in this hole. It's to adjust the emergency brakes. You remove it to get a tool in there to adjust them. Notice this adjuster right here for your emergency brakes. If you have to, leave that rubber out. I don't need to. These are already adjusted. But you'll put that on like that. You should feel them drag. You should hear them drag just a little bit. If you don't, and you should put lug nuts on there to hold it straight when you do it. If you don't hear it drag, take this out, put a screwdriver in there, and just move that up or down, whichever way makes it tight, and that'll adjust the emergency brakes. So actually you don't need lug nuts if you tighten this up. I forgot about that. For demonstration purposes, look here, all you do is take this out. You look inside of there with a flashlight and you can see the thing in there, and you'll just go up or down with it. You'll know which way you're going. Go like that, or up. So up makes them tight. You can hear them drag just a little bit. You know, by up I mean go like this on the left side, and you can hear it drag a little bit, and that's enough. I wouldn't overdo them. You don't want to wear them out. Stick your plug back in. Caliper bracket. Torque to spec. On the back, the inside pad tab goes down. Outside pad tab goes up. Slip the caliper over it. Torque the bolts, as you know, to spec. My specs are and wait a minute. Lug nut torque 140 foot-pounds. Next, we're pumping the brakes up. Make sure they're nice and firm. Now I'm going to raise the lift up and spin the wheels. I'll demonstrate. What I do is I go to each wheel and I spin it. Uh-oh. Because this is front wheel drive, it's a little stiff. Anyways, push the brakes. Now let go of the brakes. And they come loose real quick and easy. Push the brakes. Now let go. And you see they're nice and free. If they're not, your caliper is sticking. I go around to each wheel and do this, and a lot of times what you want to do is run the vehicle down the road, warm it up, bring it in, and do it again. You want to make sure the calipers aren't sticking, otherwise you've just wasted your time and you're going to ruin all your brakes once again. Let me show you on the back wheel, because these will spin freely. Hit the brake. Let go of the brake. And you see how easy and quickly they release and they just spin? That's a good caliper. Hopefully this video helped somebody out, get you back on the road, get you back to work, whatever you need to do. I recommend you torque every bolt to spec. You'll have to look it up and get a torque wrench if you want to do that. You have been instructed by the one and only infamous Kentucky Yankee, without a doubt. Check me out on TikTok. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.